I'd be calling you a radical. So I cannot overstate this. This is such a big event that finally someone, the state of California, the state of Oregon, the state of Washington, the state of Alaska, the United States federal government has finally enforced their own law. Well, kind of. 10 years late, but they did it. So the state of California in Northern California has placed the Northern California summer steelhead, spring steelhead, on the endangered list, which should be going on in Oregon right now. I cannot overstate this. There's no gill netting going on in the mighty Columbia right now. All these ranges that end up in Idaho all over. I can't believe there's still, I grew up steelhead fishing in Idaho. I can't believe they're still fishing. Barbless hooks, hoot owl law, you can't fish past 2 o'clock. Just, 2 hours a day, 3 days a fucking week. Catch and release. By the way, every time you catch a salmon and release it, they're trout, they're salmon. Trout or salmon, they're salmonoids. They go to sea 1 to 2 years. It's Fukushima. Me and Martin were talking about this today. I can't overstate this. The Columbia River in 2010 had 680,000 over the dam. 400 tributaries go fucking, clear into Canada, fucking Idaho, fucking. I mean, they used to make it all the way right out here to Duck fucking Creek. John Trudeau on Balco, on chemo. But 685, that's with gill netting. You take the gill netting out in front, well over 1 million steelhead in the year before Fukushima. 3,200 for the year. I mean, they're a little late. Yeah, okay, a little. Yeah, 10 years. So, where the fuck... The Endangered Species Act is a real law in the United States. So, traditionally, typically, if the United States wasn't doing their thing, that's what these organizations are for. Greenpeace, Sierra Club, Friends for the Earth, they would file suit against the United States. Not anymore. They've captured them. It's a revolving door. When they changed the tax status, and I can't overstate this, you people that are all gung-ho on Bill Gates and Zuckerberg, and I mean, by the way, shoot fucking Bezos and all these fuckers into space. They are the nuclear waste. Get them off our fucking place. Shoot them to Saturn. So, I can't overstate this. We're giving our money away, is a fucking lie. Warren Buffett ain't give a shit. Look at Warren Buffett. He gave away fucking $38 billion. $38 billion he gave away. $2 billion each to his kids when he says he wasn't leaving his kids 5 cents. $2 billion each to his 3 kids. So where did the other $32 billion go? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's just a shell game with each other. That's all it is. They're fucking rotten hell, you fucking dirtbag. And the year of the Suns, I want to say this before we start talking, is I'm rooting for the Phoenix Suns this year for one reason. Well, 2 reasons. Because I hate the fucking Jazz. What they did to our youth, what they did, the greedy fuckers. You can't go to a game. I had season tickets for years. Very reasonable price. Good beer, fucking good product. Not now. It's a fucking luxury good, a freak show. Corporatist luxury good. Energy Solutions. Vivit's under fucking indictment right now for a fucking Ponzi scheme. Remember the Jazz passed on Chris Paul. Oh, he ain't got a ring. After this year's over, he'll probably have fucking one more than the entire Jazz organization has ever had. But Paul Westphal. Paul Westphal was one of those guys that you guaranteed you looked at him, he's going to live to 100. My dad was that way. Guaranteed. It's kind of like Terry Donahue. The football coach at UCLA. One day you people wake up and realize in LA, when I'm working my coast, I try to avoid LA as much as possible. Rocketdyne, Santa Susana. Stevie Nicks makes a statement about it and then backs off. Takes the child when her friend dies. Girls go Motley Crue. That little 11-year-old girl tried of acute blastoma. He sued him. Backs off. Even Kim Kardashian has made a statement. The place is so fucking radioactive, it's unbelievable. And then you got Fukushima hitting it from the other side. Paul Westphal, born and raised there. Right there. Terry Donahue. Paul Westphal was, 70 years old? Fuck. You're guaranteed he's going to be perfect. This dude looked fucking younger than me. Same with Terry Donahue. I mean, the place is a toxic fucking death zone. No matter what you do, take care of yourself, do everything right. That's my point on on nuclear fallout. It still kills you. It doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't give a fuck about how spiritual, how fucking strong, how mentally and physically you take care of yourself. They just fucking mows you down. You're the Suns. Remember they passed on Chris Paul for Darren Williams? Oh, I hate the fucking Jazz. I really hate that fucking Snyder fucking punk. And I used to like Donovan. I know Donovan not anymore. He's a big mouth fucking. Thank you, Sir Charles. Quit calling yourself Sir. Charles Barkley. I always fucking like that fucker. I remember I used to watch him play in college. He says, why don't you guys all just shut the fuck up? He says, you bounce a ball for fucking. It's so culturally significant. Talk about the year of the sun, right? Oh my God, it's fucking hot. It hasn't rained here in fucking years. Talk about a drought. Fucking the Jazz. Talk about a drought. Don Sutton died this year too down there. Talk about, there's another one. Talk you sure by looking at that, listening to that guy talk, looking at that guy, he's gonna, his permed hair and all, he can live to be 100. So, the salmon catastrophe, I can't overstate it. And the corruption of this fucking country, and it's fucking turning its back on the environment. Want to rule the world, turn its back on Mother Nature. So, how many of those NBA teams are these fucking Microsoft fucking creeps who stole it from Word Perfect here on? Fuck the Clippers. Fuck that Steve fucking creep. I mean, fuck all these oligarchs. Fuck all these fucking. Shoot them into space. Get them off our place. The bottom line, it's the ecology, stupid. The great equalizer, Fukushima. You can follow. Somebody is posting around now. It's all over that all the birds that are dying in the Midwest are poison bird feed. No, bullshit. We would know that like that. That's really easy to identify. Test the birdseed. Nope. It's some kind of fucking nuclear exchange. There's something going on. Well, I know what's going on. The same thing happened here. My daughter's right out here down Oak Island here just recently. She says, oh, I forgot to tell you, Dad. I was up there and all the birds were washed up. You didn't take a video? No. I says, oh my God. You think that's normal? It's just been like that for 10 years and we're so used to it. Just fucking walking, going to a state park, a national park, or whatever we go, and not seeing animals. And when we do see animals, we just see dead animals. That's such an acute catastrophe over the last 10 years. But I don't think people understand how fucking significant and how poor the steelhead salmon are. Because their life cycle is so short. 1 to 2 years. This is the absolute, unarguable smoking. Scientists are mystified, they're baffled, they're puzzled, they're stumped, they're bewildered. Now, this is important. The steelhead numbers started to decline immediately after Fukushima, the next year. Their life cycle is 1 year, 1 to 2 years. They go to very short life cycle. They're home, the Pacific Ocean. They live in the Pacific Ocean. The only time they come fucking home, they don't go down I-15. I was spawned in Idaho, back down to San Diego. No, they go, Mighty Snake River dumps into the fucking Columbia River, the Salmon River, we're just talking about Galena Summit and fucking Redfish Lake where I grew up there, fucking steelhead fishing. I mean, fuck, unbelievable what it used to look like just 10 years ago. Big beast. That fish that Tim Martin caught in 2010 is probably the world's record. Looks like to me it's about a 35. I've had people look at it. Right there. He's at Gold Beach every day giving me reports. They're not catching nothing. And they're still fishing. So their life cycle is so short. They immediately started to decline. Yet the Chinook did not start to decline. I'm like, that's because they have a longer life cycle. They live in the Pacific Ocean for 5 years. The only time they come home to die. And to drop their eggs. To spawn. They're born in Idaho, in Canada, in Montana, in Washington, in Oregon, in California. Even they used to make it all the way here to Utah, in the corner of the state. Their life is lived in the Pacific Ocean. They're sea creatures. They're sea animals. They just come home for a very, very, very short. They live in the sea. Their home is the sea, like a well, you know, like a starfish. What did the starfish, I mean, the upper pulper sea urchins, I mean, they should just be carpeted. People go to these tide pools and they're looking across there and they'll go find one starfish and they're yippity-yi-yay. Should be just be carpet with color. You don't have to be a marine biologist to look at the shit and understand it. So they collapse 20, 12, 13, 14. They are so low. These numbers are so low now. So the Endangered Species Act, by law, should have kicked in. We're just doing the math here. Nearly 2,000 days ago. By law, the Federal Endangered Species Act. Me and Tim Martin, you have our Blanche Martin matrix. We used to, figure out how much was being spent per fish. Do you guys know about the Mitchell Act? The Mitchell Act was passed clear back in the 1920s, and Grand Chemo, to promote the salmon. Being depleted by miners and, timber barons. Well, what happened 20, 30 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce got a hold of the money instead of the environmentalist groups. So the Chamber of Commerce have all that Mitchell Act money from the feds. It's a giant sum of money. So they're going to promote this. Come on trip, come fishing, drink our beer, stay in our hotel, growth for the sake of growth, tourism economy. Fuck the animals. We don't give a fuck you catch anything. Just come here and spend your fucking money. That's what it's turned into. It's a cultural fucking freak show. Fishermen can't fish, skiers can't ski, surfers can't surf. It's bizarre as hell. So, we first had it at $10,000 a fish. Then, we had it as high as $100,000. Then, I told Tim today, you're talking probably $5 million easily. What's spent on hotels, beer, boats, trips, gear, promotion, advertising. It's got to be millions per fish. He's been down there. He's his last 3 days. There ain't nothing. There's a few bottom fish coming in, but very, very tiny few. Look at the crab numbers. You don't believe me? This is all cute. So the smoking gun. So they immediately, the short lifestyle starts to collapse. Because we count them all. We have the numbers. And then they started to get smaller and skinnier. So the Army Corps of Engineers' answer was classify Kevin Blanche. He's on to him, and to pull the live cam on the Bonneville so you can't see how small they are. So everybody's laughing at me. I saw with my own eyes record returns 2013, 14, 15. Chinook. I'm like, okay. And I took a lot of shit. Wait till 2016. That'll be the first batch back. They'll collapse. On cue. On cue did they collapse. I'm the only biologist in the fucking world that had this fucking nailed dead to rights. Only one. The only real scientist who actually is not in Fukushima denial. They are crashed so epically, so you rely on the government to do the right thing. Throw down, no fishing, start fucking blocking it all. That's what the Endangered Species Act, so they don't go extinct. By law, they have to. It's kind of like nuclear waste. By law, they have to have an answer for this nuclear waste in 1970-something. Do you know we pay a bill to the nuclear energy reactor owner? And by the way, they're not public utilities. Bill Gates owns lots of these reactors. Lots of them. Why do you think he's a sick motherfucker. Him and fucking Buffett owns them too. They're uranium mines they own. These are creepy motherfuckers. They don't give a fuck. They'd fucking kill their own fucking grandchildren fucking for 5 cents. Fuck, they would eat their own fucking grandchildren. Fucking nature is a fucking whore. Isn't that a Nirvana song? So, the Chinook on Q 2016. So, okay, so the government doesn't do the right thing. So we rely on environmentalist groups. Teams of lawyers they have. That's why the tax status promotes them. So, we have Sierra Club. I knew Wallace Stegner personally. My grandparents were really good friends with him. Devoto's from Ogden. Who's that? The great conservationists, they used to call themselves. Sierra Club. Greenpeace. Friends of the Earth. They'll sue the government. They'll put the pressure on Oregon, Washington. What are they doing? They're grandstanding raising money on dams. They're not dying. The Jedediah Smith has no fucking dams. The Jedediah Smith is down 99%. Call them. Call them. It's run by the name. Call them on the phone. They have a website. Call them up. We talk to them all the time. No dams. Steelhead started to collapse in 2012 right after Fukushima happened. That radiation started to break the fucking chain, fucking kill the photoplankton. Big fish eat little fish. What did the fucking starfish say to the biggest fucking mammal in the world? The 60,000 ton fucking humpback. Fukushima killed my food. Fukushima killed my food. The whale replied to the starfish replied to the whale. We too. They're plankton feeders. The only one, I mean, the orcas, oh, why the orcas starving? They're Chinook salmon eaters. I mean, big fish eat little fish. They live in the sea. Salmon live in the sea, including steelhead. Their home is the fucking Pacific Ocean. Oh, the pasture, these fucking freaks. These fuckers want to commercialize and cannibalize every last thing. They'll be selling you fucking bottled air. I was thinking I'll set up me a fucking stand up here. And just get some really clean, nice fucking glasses of fucking ice water. And put it up $10. Really refreshing fucking Grey Goose vodka fucking thing. I remember the old bet goes on. The guy who started Grey Goose vodka was a bet that he could turn anything into a luxury good. Anything. What's the cheapest, most disgusting fucking rot gut fucking shit in the fucking world? Vodka. He says, I can turn it into a luxury good, and they bet. I'll bet you $1 trading places on chemo on Balcom. Oh, he did it. Vodka. he did it. They'll be doing it for water. Well, water, rightfully so. Fuck, you can't get it. Just ask Nestle. They fucking talk about an endangered species. Air. You know, we'll have air breathe. Oh, they already have them. So, I can't overstate it. This is the smoking gun of Fukushima. It's unarguable evidence. It's been a long haul. I know it. I've been going through some of my old videos. So spot on, so good. Back when I had a following. When it was hypothesized, we didn't know people were interested. When it actually happened, and it's fucking very real, and it's not a cliche to them, Kevin Blanch isn't a cliche. Kevin Blanch is a real scientist. Kevin Blanch is a real fucking Hamlet and Cassandra. Oh my God, this is fucking real. It's... Real scientists are not mystified, baffled, puzzled, stumped, perplexed. And none of these fuckers, they all should be rounded up. First you hypothesize the knowledge, right? These are full blown up meltdowns. It took me a year and a half to convince anybody it was one meltdown. I'm the only person on earth that was calling this a full blown out fucking nuclear meltdown. It's the only person on earth that it happened. For a fucking long time. Busby attacked me, Gundershill, fucking Keldicott. I mean, I know them all. Helen told me, I mean, God, don't even get me going on her. Her husband called me, her ex-husband told me, she says, you know, she's a second-hand movie star. She went total Fukushima. Scares her investors. Greenpeace told me that. Busby told me, Busby attacked me when I was in the bone marrow transplant center. Anybody that uses the terminology when it comes to nuclear fallout, the solution to pollution is dilution, you know they're a fucking fraud. Nuclear fallout does not dilute. It actually grows over time. It gets stronger. At least for a few 100,000 years. Gundershill, fucking day 1, 2, 3. I finally fucking blocked him out of my site. These are not meltdowns. This is fucking nothing but a hydrogen blast. I have his emails. I have Buzzy's emails. Fraud, phony pieces of shit. Kevin Camps told me fucking to my face, well, I'm not an anti-nuclear, I'm an abolitionist. You're an abolitionist. Oh, fuck you. Phony fuckers in the Beltway, going to fucking parties, fucking sucking up their fucking money just like Greenpeace and Sierra Club. It's a fucking disgrace. Kind of like NBA players fucking with a bulletproof vest, Donovan Mitchell. With names on it when it's unarguable fact that Black Lives Matter was fucking completely hijacked from the Million Mass March. It's an unarguable fact. The anti-police brutality, the anti-corruption march is fucking anonymous, is the Million Mass March. It's an arguable fact. It's fucking fundamentally foundation started here on the no-knock warrant of Matthew Stewart on fucking January 5th, 2012. And the fucking murder of Danielle Willard. Then you fucking went to Ferguson. You went, well, before that, Freddie in fucking Baltimore. How about I Can't Fucking Breathe in fucking Brooklyn? That's how this evolved. It was the Million Mass March. That's where it came from. The death of Aaron Swartz. But that's what they do with everything, right? They hijack it. They fucking steal it. So, this is unarguable. It's unarguable proof. We don't cut dead tide pools, Kevin Blanche does. I'll be back on the 22nd. I'm waiting for my activists in Japan to get everything handled and get everything put together, and Rachel in San Diego, and I'll pop down there. I'm gonna have to fucking, I gotta do something about that fucking peace vigil in front of the fucking White House. Jesus. That thing needs to be organized. Fuck. I should have done that a long time ago. But thank you everybody who supported this historic work, but this stillhead fucking number, California finally places them on the endangered fucking species. So someone needs to sue Greenpeace, Sierra Club. Okay. I mean, I'd sue them if I had a lawyer. Slam dunk. Well, fuck, should sue the fucking NEI, the NEI. You know, remember, her and I did so much fucking work. NE News. That's a spoof of ENN News. That's the NEI, the nuclear funded by the United States Department of Energy. They hired PR firms. They hired fucking trolls. They've actually paid to kettle anybody that talks about Fukushima. Think about that fact that that's even legal. How about the trolls they hired to slander and fucking attack Kevin Blanche when he's in critical condition? A cancer victim, but fuck me. Because he survived cancer. So, it's ecology, stupid. This stillhead fucking salmon number, we have 3,200 for the fucking year. That's with no gill netting, no fishing. With gill netting and fishing, 10 years ago we had 680,000 on that river. The Rogue's even worse. The Fraser. Fucking. But nobody seems to give a fuck. Stay tuned. Go Suns.